This is Enterprise One. I'm VanVelding. I do the beige and the bold.
And I'm Dr. Isix, and I do Watches of Tomorrow. And also, I've been thinking about Space Ghost Coast to Coast recently. I'm not sure why.
Is that related to our current pitch on deck?
Not really, but I guess it could be.
Because we talked about this one a little bit before. We made a list of the Star Trek episode types. We go to a planet has a problem, fix the planet with Picard's speech. Yes. I believe we've done space anomaly, we've done time travel stuff, we've done Prime Directive episode. So we are now to the campy incarnation of the public domain intellectual property.
Yes. So we're not doing Robin Hood. We're not doing a bunch of Shakespeare. We're going to be, let's go for some
Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, no Sherlock Holmes. Let's go for some Knights of the Round Table.
Yes, and we did a little bit of pre-research for this because we don't really know. I'm back in the house where dogs lose their shit. Yeah, so we had to do a little research on this one.
So there's apparently a lot of Knights of the Round Table.
Yeah, like hundreds.
Yeah, it's like
lots. Too many.
Keep popping up in random stories, and it's like, all right, Mort. I have no idea who that is. Fear Fitz, cool.
Lamrock, yeah, Lamorak, who I personally stan, and who we ended up having just Janeway, because our senior staff are going to be Knights of the Round Table. Yes. That's our concept. That's what we're starting at.
Yes. So I guess the big first question is, how are we doing this? Is this are they being pushed into a world where they're suddenly these characters, or is this like we're viewing the world through somebody else's eyes and this is how they're being portrayed, or is everyone just having a weird delusion, or is everyone trapped on the holodeck?
I think we'd want a higher authority to connect the members of our senior staff to the Knights of the Round Table.
All right, so no holodecks.
So yeah, it's kind of authoritatively, like maybe the computer would be like, we've analyzed your human brains and made you these knights for certain reasons. I don't know if that float. I don't know if that's workable. But, if you have like a Q entity or a Q-like entity or something.
Well, it could be a powerful entity that has a lot of ability to manipulate the world, but has to keep things simple to a certain degree. And so it's like, I need some sort of reference point in order to understand you complicated beings. And instead of, pulling a, Degilib or whatever it was, where it's like, I'm just going to sort of torch you and play with you for a while. I'm going to instead put you through this cosmic sieve and see what comes out.
Yeah, that could work. We kind of want it to be good. So maybe who does it depends on what our theme and our end lesson is.
Well, potentially, this entity could basically, it's like a first contact situation where it's like, I need to do a thing in order for us to communicate properly. May I do the thing? And it's like, okay, I guess we're going to do this thing here, and then it does the thing. It's like, oh, we're Knights of the Round Table. That's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
And so
it would be, yeah.
And so it's not necessarily, it's like, okay, this is supposedly how it's trying to communicate. So it's sort of like a weird cross-batch between a Q situation and a Darmok situation.
The issue with that, which again, it's a problem I'd be happy to solve, is that it's looking at us with our cultural metaphors instead of their cultural metaphors. So what if their cultural metaphors were ours? What if it was one of our own? Like, or they read a book, like a piece of the action, like the aliens read the gangster book and they all become gangsters, or the Casino Royale where the aliens read a book and they make a casino, like a zoo. So it's like they, whoever's doing it, they're pulling from our own cultural kind of banks.
Well, there was Trelane, who was basically kind of doing that. He was a very childish sort of entity, but it's sort of like find this one planet particularly interesting, and I'm just going to start copying stuff from it. And so, can have a situation sort of like that. Alternatively, maybe it's a weird, super powerful entity that is able to pick up the TV, space TV, effectively. And has watched the 22nd century version of the Knights of King Arthur, the Knights of the Round Table, and is it's like, yeah, I was really enjoying that. I just saw this last week. I now have acquired all the information about this I can, and this is the cornerstone of how I understand your people's culture. So I'm going to put you through this filter in order to sort of help me relate to you better.
What if it's I like that, but what if, like, the survey course they took on Earth is, maybe more personal? Like, they went by and they're like, we're going to catalog all of Earth's culture. Mm-hmm. And then he plugs it in and he's like, okay, now I'm good for Earth stuff. So then our crew comes by 100, 1,000 years later and goes, okay, we're from Earth. And he's like, oh, I know all about Earth. Oh, yeah. I read Earth 1,000 years ago. I think I'm kind of an expert. And maybe that gives us a theme where, like, it's impossible to know all about everything, right? Yeah. Like, as soon as you try to read or to know or to get everything, like, you're behind somewhere else. Like, you can't track all the spinning plates. You can't read every news article. This is a theme very close to my own heart from my massive library of bookmarks and unread news articles.
Oh, yeah. How many bookmarks do I have open now?
Oh, yeah, so much. Like, you want to know it all, right? As a curious person, as a responsible person, you want to know everything that's happening, but you can't. And I think there's a false confidence where even if you do learn everything, you still don't know everything. Yeah. If that makes sense. If we were to read all of our tabs that are open right now, there's still be so much we wouldn't know, but might feel better.
Mm-hmm. It's like, well,
and maybe this is the guy who's
So he's a guy who's sort of, as you're saying, feels better about his understanding of the world, even though he's still missing out on a lot of information and a lot of the nuances and context and things like that.
Yeah.
All right. So I was maybe thinking, like, there's other cultures he's been looking at more recently that he's a little more up to date on, but still, and maybe at some point further along in the plot, we could have he's like, oh yeah, we've as the Federation have already made contact with these people, and the entire lens that you're, viewing them through is kind of incomplete. And so, and so this can, sort of help nail down that sort of a theme there.
The other thing I was going to pitch was that maybe there's very old aliens, and they come back to the Milky Way, mm-hmm. and they're like, hey, you're the Federation. They're like, yep, that's us. We're the Federation, Jim Kirk et al. And it goes, yeah, you're not supposed to be like this. And it goes, you're supposed to be like, Knights of the Round Table. And then, so he makes them Knights of the Round Table. And our crew, because they have their own contemporary mythology of Knights of the Round Table, are like, no, you got this wrong. And he goes, no, I know what Knights of the Round Table are. I've read Mort to Arthur, the Vulgate cycle. Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, but there's not a canon for it. Those are the oldest stories, but in the hundreds of years since those stories, those characters have changed in popular culture. The characters that you're projecting us on have changed.
Indeed.
And so too have we changed. And so the notion that there's this one true canonical good original source, and that stories aren't set in stone, and that they change to reflect the cultures that they're from, is kind of like a dual message for Star Trek and our in-character plot.
Both these are pretty good messages, I have to say. I guess the second one there, I guess in some ways can be very applicable to Star Trek in general itself, where the original series has sort of this stuff going on and these things that are just kind of ignored in the more recent stuff. So
yeah,
it's like, yes, of course there's female captains before this point in time. What are you talking about, Jim Kirk from the 60s?
Yeah, Anson Mount plays a great Captain Pike, which is fascinating because the original Captain Pike was characterized by being kind of a stock authority figure and being a bit of a misogynist. So, like, that's probably for the best. Yes. It's probably for the best that Pike is a cool dad now, and that's why we like him. That's why people enjoyed him in season 2 of Discovery so much.
I'm about to start.
Okay, well, I saw the opener. I saw the season opener. And I've seen a few notes later on, so I'm eager to hear back about it.
Well, I have heard good things, so I'm a little behind, but I'm catching up. But anywho, so I guess the question is, do we want to have something that's more relevant to the current zeitgeist of how we sort of interact with information, or do we want something that talks about Star Trek and sort of a wink nod, sort of a extra filter here?
Which moral can we butcher the best in service to our campy episode?
Well, I guess if we're going to go for campy, we could always pull a page from Doctor Who and the Greatest Show in the Galaxy.
Oh, what's the Greatest Show in the Galaxy?
Basically, it's a sort of a wink and a nod, sort of talking about Doctor Who with an episode of Doctor Who. It's like it's a lot different than it used to be, and things have changed. Some things are not as good, some things are better, but people are still fans of it.
I would love to be the second human in that human syndicate. Yeah. Okay.
So if we're going to go in more campy here, I think that might be the better way to go. I guess let's just have off the reins a little bit as well.
Is that Moffat era?
No, that was classic Doctor Who, Seventh Doctor era.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. I know 9 through 11. That's it. So okay.
So
all right.
If I start talking about the Terror of the Autons, you're going to be confused.
Yeah, a little bit. I kind of want to wrap for a second on the premise of this Doctor Who episode. So what's the deal with that?
So the Doctor shows up on a planet, as he does, with his companion Ace. Ace is basically the companion of the Doctor's that's most prone to making homemade explosives.
Okay. I like her already.
All right, and she's kind of an 80s punk sort of thing going on. And so they go to this circus, and that's like a space circus, and they kind of get roped into being part of the show, part of the act, because there's these beings called the Gods of Ragnarok who are in the audience and are the entirety of the audience and are there to be entertained in order to sort of keep them from murdering everyone.
Telling us how they really feel about the fans. All right.
That if you don't keep them entertained, it's the show will go away in a very sort of literal sense there.
Yeah.
But there's also one character who's like basically a big fanboy about the show, and this is sort of where I lifted a bit of that things have changed, some things aren't as good, some things are better, but it's I'm still a fan even though it's evolved a lot since the old days.
Okay.
And so it's sort of like there's sort of this dark aspect here, but there's also this is pretty cool that people are really still into this here even after all these changes all this time.
So I'm interested in this. Because we joke about 2020 being like a reality TV show. So, I think South Park may have hit on that. I don't know if they were the first ones to hit on that, but they definitely are the reference that comes to mind for me.
Yeah, they did an episode where the Earth was like a TV show for a bunch of aliens, right?
Yeah, and then they were going to cancel it. I would say a little bit of anti-Semitism in that one, but I think it was a little more anti-Semitism than usual in that one. But that's South Park. So a Star Trek episode through the lens of Knights of the Round Table by powerful aliens, possibly extragalactic, who have been watching the Federation and are unhappy with how it is.
It's like we turn away for a few centuries and come back, and it's like, well, you kind of got this council of important people sort of hanging out, trying to keep things running, but it's not how it's supposed to be, man. This is like a round table, dude, but you don't have the table or the knights or the swords. Okay, we're going to fix this real quick. And so, like the Enterprise is the first to run into these guys as they're coming in from the edge of the galaxy or something like that. And say, we're going to rework this here, and we'll try the Knights of the Round Table, and if it doesn't work here, we'll try something else, a different planet that we know is part of your absolute canon.
Yeah, sorry. You mentioned the Federation is like the job of the Federation is to make space boring, right? When the Federation is doing its job, there's no wars, there's no conflict. People talk through their differences like adults, and it's not exciting to watch, but it's important. Yeah. I can definitely see where you're like, you've made Earth boring. Who's it that called Earth boring? Vosh did. Vosh did in Q did in the DS9 episode with Vosh. So it's like that's kind of the deal. So, why would they bring up Knights of the Round Table unless I was just kind of like Kirk is like, hey, look, we're sworn to do the duty to protect the Federation, and he self-defined Starfleet, and the guy goes, you know what? Just like the Knights of the Round Table, those guys were always doing adventures.
So you are very much like these guys. So you are these guys now.
Yeah, and like you can still be good and just people. That seems thin, though. I mean, it's a camp episode. I mean, we're aiming for the one where Satan shows up in terms of highbrowness.
So it would kind of come down to the execution of this to a certain degree. Though I am still sort of envisioning a scene where, Kirk goes up to a lake and suddenly gets tossed a sword, and instead of being Excalibur, it's Enterprise. But I'm not sure if that quite fits in. Yeah,
I mean, there is a starship Excalibur. I think that's canonical. I think it's canonical from an LCD display, but LCARS display.
So is the Buckaroo Bonsai.
What?
Buckaroo Bonsai.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. So I'm not certain the canonization of the HD remake of the LCARS was a great idea, but it's beyond the scope. Our arc is we want to get the most Arthur moments possible, right? So either we do.
So Lady of the Lake, Sword in the Stone, going on some quests for Holy Grail sort of stuff, the whole betrayal with Mordred and all that sort of stuff, and lots of random stuff. There's a bunch of things.
So like those beats are good, but in terms of framing the story, I noticed with the Robin Hood one, right? You have a bunch of lead up to that, and you kind of like introduce the real drama of the episode, and then you have a couple scenes of Knights of the Round Table, and then you have like a scene or two of a wrap up, and it's like, well, it's a pretty good split because everyone remembers it as the Robin Hood episode, not the archaeological conference episode. Yes. So it's successfully done, and I think they're pretty effective with all that stuff. I think it's like 4 or 5 setup scenes before we actually get to, everyone's in the future, and they kind of have a moment where they point and talk to each other. That's like, what are our beats? Like they meet the alien goes, hey, you're not right. Knights of the Round Table, and then they kind of have to figure out what the alien's angle is as the Knights of the Round Table doing knight stuff.
Yeah.
And they kind of get a wrap up. We get a very important lesson.
All right, so opener, we have the Enterprise encountering crazy massive ship that just came in from beyond the galaxy, and it's like this is a very unique sort of first contact situation. And the screen turns on, and it's a very inhuman sort of creature, and it's like, and it starts talking at them in a language that can't be translated, but eventually starts picking up words here and there, and it's like in the middle of a complaint. It's like, you are not as you once were. This must be corrected, but. Maybe not, must be, but, we would like to help you correct this and make you better or something like that. And so it seems like a very benign thing at first. But, like, at the end of the stinger there, it's like, what would be a good way to sort of do this here? Like, Kirk stands up there and says, it would be my honor to reintroduce you to this galaxy, since apparently you have been here before. And they're like, yes.
Yeah.
Honor, yes, honor. Maybe your honor and bravery are the keys to our communication. Dun, dun, dun. And then there's sort of this awkward look between everyone on the bridge. And it's like, is this another battle of the death situation? With a fake out.
Yeah.
And we come back after the break there. And so there's, a captain's log getting us updated. And it's like, okay, so they've ceased communications, and we're trying to figure out what's up with these guys. And it's like, we're kind of on edge of what's going to happen. And then he's like, okay, well, maybe if they've been to Earth before, or any number of other Federation planets, they have maybe some points of reference. So maybe we should offer them up. And so maybe the first third of the episode is trying to pin down where when these guys showed up previously, given what they've been able to figure out. And so there's a bit of a mystery plot there, and the mystery sort of gets solved, and they transmit sort of what they think is supposed to be the proper greetings for when these guys come back, and the aliens are like, okay, so we're not just confused here or something like that, and then they're like, all right, we are going to allow you to come visit us, and but you must come beam into this location and acquire yourself the great weapon. And so the next scene, the middle bit would be about, okay, is this safe to go? Maybe, so we'll send the people, the very important people, over on a team, and they go over there, and it's just an empty room with a sword and a stone, and it's like, okay,
I like that.
Kirk goes over there, and it's like, well, if this is supposed to be something that's, and it's, and the greetings was sort of connected to the Arthurian stuff beforehand, and right. It's like, okay, so if we're on a theme here, we're supposed to pull the sword from the stone, and that seems to be the only way to do anything here. So Kirk pulls it out, and suddenly, they're in a forest and wearing armor.
Okay, all right, we're getting real deep into it. So, I feel like we're halfway through the episode and Arthur becomes the king. What if Kirk becomes Arthur? I like the intro. One, I would pitch this to you as the PhD. It's not like a ship like that. This is a self-propelled ship. It's like a big ship, but it's just like shot here, right? Because it went between galaxies. Mm-hmm. So then it's actually an unidentified object, but its orbit is going to break it, right? It's going to break by orbiting planets in the solar system.
All right. So yeah,
so it's going to slow down.
There's going to be some tidal forces there, and it's just so freaking big that there's this differential on the gravitational pull. It's going to snap it in half.
Well, I mean, sure, if depending on what it's made of, but it's an unidentified object at first.
Yeah, well, at least they think
so
it's
going
to
go to investigate it.
It's like, if this breaks up, there's going to be danger to everybody. We need to intercept this, and wait, this isn't just like a big weird asteroid. It's something else entirely.
So it's like, hey, what's up? And they're like, hey, you're not as you were. Kirk says honor, like all that. And Kirk's like, hey, look, we want to go over to you and help you out. We want to talk to you. And the guy's like, poggers. And Kirk's like, cool. All right, Janeway, assemble a team. You're with me, because they're like the special division, right? They do all kinds of random stuff, including diplomatic stuff. So it's like, cool. So they get in a shuttlecraft and they're like, hey, we've prepared a team. And the other guys are like, yeah, we have also prepared a team. It's like, that's great. And then it's like, we're ready to go over there. Are you ready to receive us? He's like, yes. All right, let's do this. And so they're about to take the shuttlecraft out, and then bam, the senior staff is beamed off.
It's like, yes.
And they go,
okay,
right to Arthurian shit, and then we break.
There we go.
So I don't know how much we want to cut to the Enterprise trying to solve it from their end. We could.
Well, we could potentially have throughout the episode more and more people from the Enterprise taken off and added to this simulation here, and just sort of like, I don't know what's going on, Captain, but it's like, yes, go and make sure you don't get yourself stabbed.
Okay, no, right. So implicit in this is the fact that other members of the crew might be Knights of the Round Table, right? And the fact that these guys want a dramatic story. They want humans to do clever things and overcome obstacles. And if Kirk is Arthur, then what better story than to assemble his crew like Arthur assembled the Round Table and take over the ship and free themselves by assembling knights to do that.
So the senior staff starts out as a core group and sort of has to start re-recruiting the entirety of the crew in order to get this plan kicked off. And it's like, okay, now we've assembled our knights. Let's go and charge the thing, and then we proceed from there.
They don't even know. We talked a little bit about the knights, the story of the knights being different from what we know, because in the next 200, 300 years, those stories will continue to change, even as they go into different cultures.
Indeed.
So what if part of the goal is they don't know the stories? Because in Star Trek, one member of the crew is always has a fascination with the 20th century, or at the very least, Americana in a broad sense. Yes. Or they've got Data, or they've got Spock who knows it all. But what if they don't? What if the deal is they literally have to make up the mythology of Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table from memory to suit their exact need?
I like that. It's like, okay, so was there anything that sort of allowed us to do this? No, but maybe there was a story that had this happening, and maybe we could make that work.
Yeah, because like, if I'm Palamedes, then I'll need, Gouchre and Bognor, and then we're gonna have to do Percival. What is it? Percival? Who was it? Tristan. We may be called Tristan. Then and Lilu and Bogrel, and we'll need all those guys, and so they bring more guys from the Enterprise, and it's part of like they're all working different plans that are apparent plans, but the big goal, the actual goal, is to get more knights.
Yes. So sort of bringing in the, it's like, where is my brother? I need to find my brother.
Yeah. King Pellinor was a Knight of the Round Table, and so were like 4 of Pellinor's sons. There you go. And so that's like our thing plot. But the little stories they do are the stories of the Knights of the Round Table. So what is that? Is Tristan the original? Oh, he's got to escort a lady without having sex with her. I think Galahad. Galahad's one of the Grail Knights, right?
I believe so. It's post-Vulgate cycle in Death of Arthur.
So we can have, Dr. Crusher, who's Galahad. We can have her looking for the Holy Grail. Kind of do pairs of 2 to keep our stories straight. Was Percival doing the questing beast? I've lost track of who's doing the questing beast. So they got questing beast, Holy Grail, Fall of Camelot. Are those three plot lines that are good?
I think it can work. I'm not as familiar with the Fall of Camelot. I'm guessing that's where Mordred kills people, right?
It's like a big ball where Lancelot and Guinevere, of course, and then from that, Arthur goes off to fight with Lancelot because Lancelot, infidelity. He ran off with Guinevere. Yeah. Trojan reasons, I guess. And so while he's gone, Mordred, the power vacuum, fakes Arthur's death and tries to claim the throne. Arthur has to come back in. You'd think that fight would be as simple as Arthur going, "I'm not dead," but
How
I
are
suppose
we sure?
Mordred's really good at. So
you were thinking for Lancelot Spock?
I thought about that because I'm like, well, I'm a big fan of Kirk and Spock as a romantic unit. I think the canon supports it, and I'd like to subvert the tedious 3-way love triangle of Arthur, Guinevere, and Lancelot, and like the infidelity and the and the courtly love, and just be like,
instead
Arthur and Lancelot.
Yeah, instead of going off to fight,
Secret Whisper.
They're going to be crossing swords a different way.
So then you're like, but where's the conflict then?
Well, maybe the conflict there is maybe the entirety of the conflict there is for show in order for them to sort of sneak off and hang out together, and so they have a big blow up that they sort of engineer beforehand. It's like, well, because knowing it's like, okay, this is sort of how things are supposed to go, but if we could just sort of pretend that we have a falling out and are going to go fight, then it's the same thing, just good enough.
What if obviously Arthur can't date one of his own knights? And that's the secret affair. Mm-hmm. So then Arthur has to leave, right? And then he abdicates. He's like, Mordred, you're one of my knights, and you're apparently of my blood. You can succeed me to become the new king of Camelot. And then Mordred does it bad. So Arthur has to come out of retirement and call Baxis on his abdication. And that's like a legitimate point of legal contention because Mordred's doing kingness badly.
Yeah.
And therefore that's like the contemporary 23rd century version of Camelot.
Yeah, okay.
And there are lady knights. We're not writing out Guinevere. Guinevere can be a knight in this version. Yes. She's just not married to Arthur. She's succeeded on her own merits.
Yeah, she's gonna kick ass on her own. So Ahura?
Yeah. Maybe. Honestly, I I thought of Guinevere being a knight at the beginning of that sentence and didn't think much past it. So,
well, do remember her can like take down two people at once, so
no doubt. So that's fine. Although there is the part where Sulu grabs her and he goes, "I'll save you, fair maiden." She's like, "Neither." But I guess if she was a knight, she's not a maiden either, is she? Nope. So there you go. So yeah, like the fall of Camelot, that requires a lot of knights.
Who's going to be our Mordred?
I mean, Harry Kim, right? Because in the opener, we're like, this is the series premiere was there are a bunch of versions of our characters from alternate timelines who are using an alien time travel device to go back in time and try to fix problems instead of growing as people. Mm-hmm. And in the end, Harry Kim of one of those timelines, who was a bad guy, is like, you know what? Actually, you're right. I was doing this wrong. O'Brien, I believe, gives him a Picard speech. And he relents and the thing blows up. And at the very end, we realize that we still have that Harry Kim.
Yes, it's like, he's maybe grown a little bit, but he still comes from that same bad place.
Right. And so that he's assigned the role of Mordred, but he's not a bad person. Mm-hmm. He's trying to become a better person.
Yes.
As like a low-key recurring plot point where he becomes he does something redeeming towards the end of the season. So yeah, I think Harry Kim as Mordred
that works.
Would be set up. So in this process, our characters have to have an ostensible way to beat the bad guys, the actual way they beat the bad guys, and they have to learn about the bad guys before they do it. And then they have to actually defeat the bad guys, and we need to know what that looks like.
Defeat is maybe very vague terms, because if the whole thing is about going through these motions to sort of reenact these interpretations of this legend here, so what does that mean for when someone's created this world and is basically being the storyteller of that legend that you are sort of cooperatively interacting with? They're basically a dungeon master in an RPG here. So how do you beat the GM?
Yeah. One thing is just keep inviting people until they can't run the game anymore and they give up in frustration.
Maybe that's the way to go then. It's like, yes, we now have 150 knights, and wow, this simulation is starting to break down a bit. Hey, there's a door. Let's go through there. It's like, and they break through the door and find the control of the simulation. It's like, were you guys not enjoying that? I know things are running a little tough here, but we wanted to make sure that you were comfortable with your night environment, and it's important to us that you recreate properly and fully the native environments of the creatures that we run into.
Maybe the point, we leverage something on these guys, and then we have the Picard speech to convince them that their presuppositions were wrong, that the way that they expect this story to go isn't necessarily the only way that it can go. There are always these options. There's always these alternatives.
Yeah.
So,
and we could even have sort of a parallel to the first episode where evil Mordred Harry Kim is gets a Kirk speech at him and just like, here, have your crown back.
So
and maybe this makes the aliens angry or makes them confused, and they sort of intervene. It's like, okay, you're not doing it right. What's up?
Yeah, that'd be an interesting way to go with it. I mean, we're going to fill it up with knights, obviously, from the Enterprise. But, eventually just not playing it. Because, stories are not fun. Stories are always the worst. There's always, these dramatic conceits necessary to make stories happen. Because otherwise, people can be reasonable. Oftentimes, when unreasonable people are given power, those are the most interesting points in history. Little biased, this was recorded in 2020. So,
yeah,
people who are dedicated to peace and reconciliation run things, there aren't many good stories to tell.
It reads
like a Cardassian epic, but with less murder.
Well, everything was fine for a while, and everyone was happy. Cool, then what happened?
Yeah.
Well, they kept doing that for as long as they could. And then what happened?
It's one of the greatest novels in Cardassian history. So yeah, that would be interesting if they beat these guys by giving them Cardassian literature. But try it, you'll like it. Kirk runs Camelot with spreadsheets. They reevaluate their presuppositions. So yeah,
So at the very least, we can disrupt things, or at least make it. Maybe there's certain constraints on the system that start to break down the more knights there are, and that allows them to sort of break out of their roles and start, changing up what's going to be happening. Maybe that's how sort of the how they sort of, use their smarts to sort of bend the situation towards their ultimate goals here. And by demonstrating a different story than what the aliens were expecting, then the aliens sort of pop up and say, "Okay, all right, what's going on?"
I like that.
So it's not a storm in the castle sort of situation, but it is a metaphorical sort of version.
Yeah, we can say, "Hey," and we're showing is so telling, which is pretty good. So we're like, "Hey, we're doing, I'm doing Tristan. This is Tristan's story. Like, this isn't Tristan's story. It's like, well, this is what what's passed down to us, the living story of the 23rd century." Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, so then the aliens are like, okay, that's fine, whatever. Just continue playing through it so that you can understand what it's like to be interesting and see the virtues of this lifestyle. And like, well, okay, we're up against simulations and constructs. So, like, this isn't good. Can you let our other members of the team come down and play some of these roles for us a little bit? And then it becomes harder for them to put roadblocks in front of the crew, mm-hmm. like you said. And then eventually we can make like new and interesting stories that are based around nuanced versions of the characters that we know.
In some ways, it's kind of a metaphor for our series.
Right.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right. So it's like, you guys were so taken with the preconceptions of how things should be mm-hmm. and what it means to be canon whenever we have grown and we have changed. And these characters, the Knights of the Round Table, have grown to accommodate, our modern sensibilities and the things that our culture mm-hmm. needs. And if the stories don't meet the needs of our culture, then we don't tell them because we don't need them anymore.
I'd say,
and the stories that endure are the stories that can change, like Batman.
They can change, that have some sort of universal appeal that just kind of never is completely dropped. Or that are, I guess, useful to the greater culture to a certain degree. Sometimes even those eventually get abandoned as the culture changes what it finds useful.
So all I can think is at the end, the aliens are like, okay, maybe, but we're doing this again, but with Flaughter. It's a deep cut for you Voyager fans.
Janeway gets excited.
So yeah. It's been a while since I've seen that episode. Did Janeway deal with Flaughter when she was a kid?
I think she mentioned that's like, when I was a kid, I remember this particular story or something like that.
Okay, that's nice. So, I mean, it's all right. I'm not going to nitpick the one Voyager episode. All right, it's a fine episode. Good use of Neelix. Yes, I think we've got our story beats hammered out.
All right,
we're talking Knights of the Round Table, so I think we've got our action quotient. We're probably going to fight. The story of the questing beast kind of sucks, by the way. Yeah. I don't know if you're...
Maybe that's part of the problem. It's like, all right, this isn't really interesting here. All right, we really need to figure out a way to change this up here, guys.
Like, Magic the Gathering released the questing beast for their Arthurian-themed set a year or two ago. And I'm like, what the fuck is a questing beast? That thing did not make it to the modern era.
Yep.
So anyway, but like you could fight it, although admittedly, when you're hunting down a monster of myth and one of the stories involves the beast falling in love with you because you pretended to be the beast for the guy who was hunting it, I can appreciate the non-violent approach to storytelling. It's not just another dragon, really. But we can fight with the questing beast. We can fight a dragon. Why not? It's Arthurian legend.
As long as we have it in our
Did
budget.
Arthur ever fight? Yeah. Did King Arthur ever fight a dragon?
I don't think so. But we can always have something mentioned in the future canon.
Gawain and the Green Knight. That's more like turn-based axe play, but it's got some action in it. Obviously, the Fall of Camelot has action. Mm-hmm. What was the other story I was talking about? The Quest for the Holy Grail. Yeah. Again, that could have anything.
It's also, some of the tiffs with like Morgana Le Fay and things like that too, and all the sort of the interpersonal drama, and it's like, oh, this person did this thing, and there was the king of Orkney, we had to go kill him, and then this one person just,
oh my god,
and, we're gonna go get married there, and all that sort of miscellaneous stuff that can be sort of tossed in if we need to fill in time. But as is, I think we're going to be pretty packed full of action and things going on.
Action, yeah. So we have character arcs then.
Yeah.
So maybe Mordred is Harry Kim. Harry Kim is Mordred. Now our knights, our list of knights are as follows: Kirk is Arthur,
Mm-hmm.
Cisco is Gawain.
Oh yeah.
Janeway was a hard one to pin down. We eventually took liberties with Lamorak,
Yes.
who is awesome.
Yes.
Look him up.
Lamorak was kind of a badass.
Crusher as Galahad. Picard is Tristan, who I think is best known for he escorts a lady and he doesn't, even though they love each other very much, they don't fool around.
Which is very
Scotty is Kay.
Which is very Picard there, yeah. It's Kay is Scotty very much works. It's like, all right, they're kind of boorish, but that works.
Kira is Percival, who came from common stock and rose to be a knight. I think is fitting with her her humble origins. I think everybody wants to do a shout out. Kira was in a holodeck scene where she played Guinevere. Lancelot made moves on her, and she shot him down. I think she slapped him or she punched him. I forget which one.
Something like that, yeah.
It's Way of the Warrior. It's how she first meets Worf. She and Dax are coming out of the holosuite from an unsuccessful Camelot adventure because nobody told her that. What was Dax's end game
I
there?
don't know.
Anyway.
Maybe Dax wanted to get Kira laid.
Yeah. O'Brien's like, hey, everybody, this is Worf that I was telling you about. Hey, wait a second. Did you make Kira play Guinevere without knowing Lancelot was going to try to have sex with her? I have many questions, Dax. Your goal wasn't that one. But whatever, it's fun. I think people would want like a Knight's Monty Python, The Quest for the Holy Grail reference.
Who would make a good person to sort of suddenly realize, pull out of their pack a couple coconuts and just sort of like look at them like, what's this about?
You can several Knights of the Round Table were other knights' parents. Yep. Okay, like their fathers, and it would be easy for our team splits up at first, right? They get separated. So they can come in. They can be like, oh, hey, look, Cisco, you're wearing the coat of arms of Gawain, so you must be Sir Gawain. It's like, oh yeah, that's cool. That makes sense. So when they get back together, Picard could turn to someone and be like, you smell like elderberries. And I think, like someone who's gone through some stuff, gone through some underbrush, is taking a tumble, who's like, yeah, no, I don't smell so great.
Yes, I know.
It's just like a little right in there. The coconut thing is good. I like the coconut. Talking about how much a swallow could carry, hypothetically.
Maybe we could use messenger birds. I don't know. How fast would they be able to get there to the station? It's like, I estimate if we were to say maybe use that swallow over there. No, we're not using the swallow. Or specifically, we're not going to lay down that swallow. We have to go with a different plan.
Yeah. Could we use that bird to send a message? I'm not an ornithologist. I'm a doctor, not an ornithologist.
We got McCoy's line. Ray Pulaski for this case.
So yes, Pulaski would look at the bird and then the bird would die. It's like, I don't do that. I can see her as the wizard Tim, though. There are some who call me Pulaski. Possibly not canon. But at that point, I mean, Dax is Merlin, obviously. Mm-hmm. I don't know which Dax, but one of the Daxes.
Why not both?
That's fair. Two Merlins.
It's like, yes, I'm Merlin, and I'm Merlin. This is a little confusing.
So I think those are all great little bits to put in there. What do we want? What character arcs? Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. So which of those characters are going to be having character arcs? Who's going to be a Knight of the Round Table? And go,
well, if we start with the senior staff here, you can sort of keep it focused on them mostly. Do you want Kirk to have a character arc for this, or should we keep it down for other characters?
If we're changing the Fall of Camelot to be Kirk Spock heavy, I think we could do the character arc for Kirk would naturally be, he finds out what the aliens want and what their deal is and how to fight them. And then he has to kind of like play Arthur and do the whole Kirk having the Neo-Arthurian myth of not getting, attached to a junior crew member. Mm-hmm. So he'd be like, well, we have to go off and do something as Arthur and Lancelot. So he and Spock end up working together, and Kirk is like, this guy's really great. I don't know if we want to focus on that. I mean, if it was like a straight romance, I'd be like, sure, let's do it. I'm self-conscious of going out in space and taking it and saying, yes, we're going to make it gay.
I'm gonna vote we make it fully gay.
Okay. All right. So Kirk's arc is Careless Whisper with Spock. And then a third person to be in there, a third member of the senior staff. I forget which of these characters were the most loyal to Arthur during all of this.
I can never remember.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, Kay seems like a natural choice. I feel like we're doing...
Because he was a foster brother of Arthur.
I feel like we're wasting our potential there, though, if we just put a bunch of old hands together from TOS.
Well, if we're using our particular canon, Sisko's the first officer.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I like that. So put Kirk and Sisko together, because we don't see their first officer captain dynamic much. We haven't seen it up to this point, so I mean that's a great thing to include.
Indeed.
So and Sisko can be like, hey, this is your duty. I get that, but like we need to. Oh God, I would imagine Sisko warning Kirk away from it, but I could see Sisko going, hey Kirk, follow your fucking heart, man. Like, you're an officer, but you're also human.
Yeah. Sisko is, not afraid of love, so why are you?
Yeah, I think he could go both ways. All right. So I think Sisko could go either way, cautioning someone to guard their career or go with their heart on it, which would be a good one for Kirk and Sisko and give them some work together.
Indeed. And it was Crusher was Galahad, correct?
Yes, Crusher's Galahad.
Crusher and Kira hanging out, searching for some Holy Grail stuff.
Okay, yeah, Grail quest. So
how would their sort of dynamic work out, you think? Because they are fairly different people, but I suspect they'd probably be able to get work pretty well together.
Yeah, well, all of our characters are ultimately good people who are reasonable, so we know they would get along together. Yeah. So the trick, the Hollywood trick, is that we just find where they wouldn't get along together.
Yes. And sort of put them in that situation.
Kira, right, exactly. So Kira is a pragmatist and a terrorist. She doesn't enjoy it, but she will kill people because she has to. That's how it has to be done.
Crusher's like, I want to heal people. That's it.
More academic and more idealistic when she's standing next to Kira. So I wish I knew more Arthurian tales. Arthurian tales are laden with the question of whether to execute someone or to spare them and have them maybe turn around and try to get revenge on you for beating them.
Yeah.
If they could be in...
So, if we could start in a situation sort of like that, where Kira's like, no, we should kill this guy, and Crusher's like, no.
Holy Grail. I don't really know the full story of the Black Knight. I mean, that might be a thing as well, right? Where you're like, is he all bad? Is he just a jerk? Is he an antagonist? Basically, how do we deal with the Black Knight? And how do we find the Holy Grail? I have no idea what they do to find the Holy Grail.
I don't remember either.
I know more Python stories of finding the Holy Grail. Black Knight, French Castle, London Metropolitan Police, Wizards on Bridges, puzzles. It's not originally Arthurian canon, but it's adjacent. The Fisher King, which is I think a question of propriety versus trying to solve a problem, right? Because depending on the story, that the issue is you're not supposed to ask about his wound, but asking about his wound is the only way to heal it and therefore heal the land. So you have to violate the social norm, but to solve the problem.
All right.
And that could definitely be something that could be a point of contention between Crusher and Kira.
Crusher's sort of torn between her wanting to heal somebody versus breaking the etiquette that's expected, and Kira versus screw the etiquette and, but also screw this guy.
Okay, so we're running short on time. Janeway, Picard, and Scotty apparently doing the questing beast. I couldn't think of a scarier 3 people to have a raid against me.
Fierce people coming into well, we could always also have they run they finally locate the beast, and it's like actually the EMH. and so maybe the climax of that is like, wait a moment, there's a mobile emitter on that thing.
Yeah, it would be interesting because that's what we're saying. Like when they're in adversarial situations, they just beam in more crew to kind of make it more realistic. So that's synchronous with what we've got. So what's their character bit? Because Janeway will do anything. Scotty will just mess stuff up. Straight up. No regrets. And Picard is the ice to their fire.
Yes.
You know, he's tempered, he's experienced, he's a diplomat, but he's also his own kind of pragmatist.
Indeed.
I mean...
Well, maybe we can have a situation where, you know, Janeway and Picard have like very different sort of views, and Scotty's sort of forced to make the final decision on how they proceed through things.
It would be interesting if, you know, if they don't have the synchronicity, like you're saying, and they actually disagree. And I don't know if does Scotty need a character arc for leadership and resolving conflicts?
I've used him a few times so far, but not in particularly, you know, this sort of mediator sort of role before.
Yeah.
And that's also not really something he's known for either.
No. But, like, he's always been very happy as, you know, a senior officer, but not a commander. Yes. Like, his ambition has never been command. It's been engines. The only issue is, well, this is a younger Picard. So he doesn't necessarily have the full faculties that he might have. He might still be like brash, young Picard whose heart exploded and went to hell with Q Picard.
So pre-Stargazer.
Yeah, well, yeah, in a lot of ways, yeah. Because Picard didn't have a lot of time in the middle ranks. He went from junior officer to captain because of one emergency. Yes. So we really don't know that guy. But I do like that Scotty is maybe being older, and maybe even command older, but like not really needing to do leadership stuff. And Janeway and Picard are like, look, in this situation, you know, we got to go in different directions. And this guy's like, no, we gotta stay together. We gotta do the questing beast thing. So I like that. And then as the twist, it's the EMH, and they can kind of.
And Scotty's like, wait, I know how to solve this problem.
With engineering,
and sort of, it's like, and he, you know, it's like, all right, so we had some disagreements about how to proceed before, but Janeway, do you mind going over that way? Picard, go over that way. Get distracted, and I'll take care of it while it's distracted. How about that? And like, your funeral. Yeah. Scotty sneaks up, pokes a couple buttons on the thing, and suddenly the EMH is back to normal self. He's like, oh. Now it's much better now. Thank you.
But yeah, I think that's good. I think it's something we can work with. Like, that was probably better than we meant to make it. But it's good. It's good. What are we calling it?
Good question.
The once and future captain. Seems lazy, but...
I was thinking more something along that Lady of the Lake sort of stuff here. Alternatively, we've mentioned Excalibur, but not the sheath for it. If you... had it in your possession, you basically make it so you couldn't be killed.
Oh, that's nice. Yes. Did it have a name?
The sheath for Excalibur? I don't know. Okay. It was like 20 years ago since I read that story. But it was also like tossed this in, you know, off the side of the road at some point because it's like, we can't let you have this, so let's get rid of it.
Is there a saying about the oldest stories somehow being good or something? Does that ring a bell, or am I just talking out of my butt?
Yeah, some of the oldest stories are the best stories. I think that's a line from something. Maybe Star Trek.
Oldest stories in the book. It's not the worst one. The officers who say me.
Maybe, you know, The Legend of the Enterprise or something like that.
The Tale of the Enterprise. Because, you know, stories from that era, we usually call them the Tale of whatever.
Or The Tale of the Enterprise Cycle. Dun, dun, dun.
It's a bit much. It's kind of a hat on a hat.
Well, if the rest of the episode's turning out all right, yeah, we can have some part of it that sucks.
The Tale of the Enterprise Cycle.
And maybe something in French after that.
We can just use the French word for enterprise.
Now I have to look that up.
I'm willing to bet it's Enterprise. I could be wrong.
Yep. Well, it's spelled slightly different. Enterprise.
La Muerte Arthur sounds like a pretty awful book, but really it's like the life and times and death of Arthur. I don't know why Mallory called it that.
How about this? The Tale of the Enterprise et la mort de la légende. So the Tale of the Enterprise and the death of the legend.
Sounds good. I mean, I think that works.
Hey, so is the can ready?
It's good. Is the what
ready? Is the can ready? For putting in the can?
The can? Yes, right. Yes. I think we're good. I think we can put that in the case.
All right. Excellent. And until next time,
All
right?
So, until next time.